I'm going to do my own version of Harris's name, the outnumbered overtime OT, baby. I did that once and somebody captured it and it lives in infamy. All right, why Buffy the Vampire? Why does that excite you?
Well, she's a legend.
Okay,
and
so what happened?
No, I think you have the wrong one. Followed me on Twitter.
Okay,
yeah, that's pretty cool. I think
David Asman on the live version got very excited about that. Do you Twitter or no?
I do a little bit. But
does anybody want to share with us their top, like somebody who you got really excited with followed you?
Elijah Wood.
Question.
I have. Oh, really?
Ooh. Yeah.
I have a few. Mike Judge, who created Beavis and Butthead, who created Silicon Valley, and may he rest in peace, Wes Craven followed.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh.
And
Peter Mayhew, who plays Chewbacca, follows me, as does Mike Judge.
And you know what? Actually, Ruth Buzzy. I think she follows a lot of people.
Ruth Buzzy.
But Ruth
laughing.
Buzzy,
oh, my goodness.
She is an icon for female comedians in this country. She did things that, along with Carol Burnett, that really...
you skipped somebody, though. Ben Stein.
Ben
I bet
Stein
he follows
is not
you
on Twitter.
He's not
on Twitter.
No.
Wow, that's surprising. Well, if he was, he'd be following you every day.
Kelly Slater follows me.
Ooh.
I have the hots for Kelly Slater. Big time. I follow him on Instagram in a really,
I hate to say, I don't know who that is.
The
greatest surfer who's ever lived.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I'd stalk him on Instagram.
Does he know your
disturbing
husband?
way.
I've known Kelly for 23 years.
Oh, okay.
We paddled out at Cocoa Beach, one of my greatest memories ever. And we were in the ocean, and he brought a camera wrapped in 3 plastic bags as John Glenn entered the atmosphere on the space shuttle. And so Kelly and I have a selfie of us on surfboards with the white trail of John Glenn smoke behind us.
And you know what? He's
pretty cool.
I met him when he was on your show, and he's a really nice man.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Sorry,
He's a dream
logging on.
What do you want?
I'm still reading Twitter. People are all fired up today about a lot of stuff. So, what did we promise we were going to talk more about? Our A block. You guys were all
UN.
in a tizzy.
The UN resolution. John Kerry.
I just want to say something because a lot of people on Twitter are, I think, unfairly attacking Julie Roginski, saying that she's pro-Palestine.
I'm not an anti-Semite, my friends. Can we just start with that? I'm a member of the tribe.
And you talked about your grandma. God rest her soul.
And let me tell you something. I used to spend my summers there every year. I remember the shelling going on during the Lebanon War.
Wow.
In the early 80s. I have friends who've been victims of terrorism in Israel.
Were you shocked, though, at the tone that John Kerry took?
I am shocked at the following. I am shocked that John Kerry, on his way out the door, would pick this time and this place to lecture Israel on anything when I have never seen a lecture like that towards anybody else.
An hour and 45 minutes. Why?
But I will also say this. I think Bibi Netanyahu, you can be, and this is the part where I think people don't understand, you could be pro-Israeli as I passionately am. My cousins are all there. Like, I love it. It's like a second home to me. But if you could be pro-Israeli as I passionately am and still think that Bibi Netanyahu is leading Israel off the cliff. And just because you oppose settlements and just because you oppose them for the same reasons that a lot of Israelis do.
But the point is this resolution was much more than just about settlements. It moved the border back to pre-1967. The Wailing Wall would be unavailable to Jews. I mean, there are all kinds of things that this resolution does.
The resolution was awful. What Kerry was, let's separate the two. The resolution was awful. What Kerry was proposing was pre-1967 borders with land swaps. There's no way on earth, and I spoke to my cousins about this who live over there, they have said, take the West Bank, leave us Jerusalem. And I said, okay, great. So which part of Jerusalem are you talking about?
What Kerry was proposing was the resolution, Julie.
No, he wasn't.
Yes, he was. He was behind the resolution.
Yeah, he was rationalizing and defending the resolution the entire time. He was saying
that he go to pre-1967 borders with land swaps. The land swaps part is very important. It means that the Western Wall will never be part of a Palestinian state.
No.
He said the West Bank is
there in the first sentence of the resolution, and the United States was okay with the resolution. I haven't seen the evidence, the Israeli evidence that suggests that they were actually behind the whole thing, but they were okay with the resolution, okay enough not to veto the resolution.
Can I say this about the resolution real quickly? I'm sorry.
Abstaining is the same thing as voting for
it. This resolution is completely meaningless. The UN has been voting against Israel nonstop, and what has it done?
This sends a message to the world. That Israel's on shakier ground than they thought it was.
Well, Israel is on shakier ground in the following sense. This is what I strongly believe. Bibi Netanyahu, and again, I want to stress, you could be pro-Israeli and be anti-Netanyahu the same way people could be pro-American and hate Barack Obama, right? Yeah. So you could be pro-Israeli and think the following. that Bibi Netanyahu is more interested in keeping his coalition government intact, which is full of people who are pro-settler. He's got people to the right of him drastically on this issue who are propping up his government because it's a parliamentary system, than he is about
Julie,
actually
I get
coming
it.
to terms
I understand
with it.
exactly what you're saying, but you got to pull back. You're looking into the weeds in Israel politics.
Important.
This is about U.S. diplomacy, and the first rule in diplomacy is you never abandon your friends to their enemies. That's what we have done.
This administration does not treat Israel as though it's a friend. It does not treat Israel as though it's an ally. I mean, this is like having a best friend and then sleeping with her boyfriend in the Iran deal.
President Obama and this administration, they are anti-Netanyahu for a number of reasons, but they're also anti-Israel with this. I think that was utterly clear in that speech that Kerry gave. Yeah. Krauthammer said something really interesting, though, on Special Report. He thought that based on the speeches, he called it a word salad, which made me laugh out loud. But he said the damage is done because it seemed as if in that speech that they're not going to pursue the 6-point plan at the UN in the Security Council. Even you have to wait and see what happens in Paris. And they're not going to let Palestine, with no concessions, have its own state. So based on that, Krauthammer said that the damage has been done and now they can move
But think about this realistically. Paris is starting January 15th, right? That's when the negotiations begin, or the sit-down begins. January 20th, you have a new president coming in. And Barack Obama knows this, and John Kerry knows this. Nobody's expecting Donald Trump just appointed somebody as ambassador to Israel who wants Israel to annex all the settlements and just make it part of, this is it, from the Jordan to the sea. And I mean, that to me is something that some Israelis believe, but a great number of Israelis don't agree with. So to say that just because you're supporting the Netanyahu government, you're somehow pro-Israel, or if you're opposing Netanyahu,
I don't think that's what anyone's saying. I don't think it's about Netanyahu. It's about Israel. It's about Israel and how the world. I mean, and just look at how many sanctions and resolutions the UN has passed against Israel.
Agreed.
It's like, what about Syria?
Agreed. The UN is a horrible body.
What about Iraq? What about Afghanistan? What about Pakistan?
Did anybody here actually read Samantha Power's speech? Because I think it's actually very instructive for people to read it. The speech that she gave at the UN before the abstention. I think it's an incredibly instructive speech.
No.
Because she's
I've never been instructed by anything about
but let me tell you why I was instructed. Okay. She spent most of the speech saying exactly what Kennedy just did, that this body is disgraceful because this body has done nothing on Syria, it has done nothing on all these other things, but all it does is go after Israel.
Can I just say something, though, about Palestine, which the name of which is thrown around too casually? What is Palestine? Is it Hamas, because Hamas took over parts of the Gaza Strip that Israel pulled out of? Yeah. Is it the Palestinian Authority, which used to be the PLO? We're talking about corruption in the UN. Corruption in the Palestinian Authority is beyond belief. The Palestinians have blown an opportunity over the past 15, 20 years to present themselves with a group of leaders who are decent, honest people who are willing to work on, like you mentioned, a married couple. If it was just between two responsible adults discussing this thing, yes, we would have had a solution by now. But it's not. It's between a group of people that lean towards terrorism and that are terribly corrupt, and then the Israelis.
But David, that speech was all about Israel and the problem of Israel when we heard Kerry speak.
It was not about. Could you imagine another world leader standing up and going on and on for an hour and 20 minutes about the United States?
Wagging his finger at
Israel. People would be in this country.
Can we just get? I
felt Obama did the same thing right before the Brexit vote. I felt he went over and was telling people in the UK.
I agree.
How to vote.
Can we get to the crux of what you're saying? Despite the fact of who are the Palestinians, there are millions of people who are Palestinians or consider themselves to be Palestinians living on territory that is now controlled by Israel, right?
By the way, you know where most of them live, most of the Palestinians? In Jordan.
I agree
Jordan
with you.
is 85% Palestinian?
I agree with you, but if Jordan wanted to take the West Bank, by the way...
Change the name of Jordan to Palestine.
Fine.
How about that?
Fine. And John Bolton had an interesting proposal, which is that Egypt takes back Gaza.
The three-state solution.
And I think it's a great proposal, except for the fact that, of course, Jordan wants no part of it, and Egypt wants no part of it.
The royals in Jordan want no part of it.
I want to add one thing, though, that when we talk about what the Obama administration did to Israel in the last week, we don't view it in a vacuum. We don't view it as just Israel. We view the way that they have treated terrorists and how they've coddled them in 8 years, and that's why we view it a different way.
All right, lovely to have all of you.
Thank you.
Oh, there's my microphone. Okay, I'm getting up.
She hates us.
She's getting out of here.